And this is another edition of Locked On West Virginia, brought to you in part by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel with new customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you for making Locked On West Virginia your first or last watch of the day, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every day. What a win by the Mountaineers tonight. What a win by the basketball team. I was super impressed all the way through with different aspects of the team. There are parts of that team that definitely need work, and we can talk about that. But looking at the box score here, 87-59, that's really good, obviously. It was never in doubt. There were spurts where Robert Morris had probably put a couple buckets together. But outside of that, it really wasn't a close game. And look, this is a Robert Morris team coming off a 10-win year that replaced its entire staff. So, this isn't the greatest test for West Virginia. The coach at Robert Morris is probably the best in their program's history, at least in a long time. Andy Toole, he's been there for 15 years. He's brought them to some really nice heights and some pretty low lows now. But he's a good coach, and I think he will get them guys turned around. Obviously, West Virginia was a bust off of them tonight offensively. You look at the field goals, man. West Virginia was 33 out of 60, 55% from the field, 14 out of 34, which is 41% from three. You'll take that every single night. 7 for 12 from the line. Has to get better. I don't know what happened there. That won't be every day. Every night. I attribute that to some fatigue, and it really did look like this team that got off to such a hot start. Don't judge this team too harshly by the lull that they had, because obviously it was obvious. One thing's for sure about Darian Devries, he can get his team ready to play. And if you've ever seen any kind of highlight of him before a game or anything, he's a very fiery kind of coach, the kind you'd run through a brick wall for. And that's what Robert Morris had waiting for them. They had year one, game one of an era in the last year of the father and son duo that's won a couple Missouri Valley championships, and now they have to set the stage in a Big 12 conference where everybody's wondering, how good is this team? And they wanted to come out and prove that, hey, we're better than people think we are. And I think ultimately they really did do that. They lost the rebounding margin by 5. If they can keep it within that the rest of the way, they'll be fine. If you can come out of a lot of these games only losing it by 5, we'll take that. Now, here's another thing. West Virginia didn't miss a ton of shots tonight, just like they said on TV. They didn't. So that also played a factor. West Virginia wins in defensive rebounding. Offensive rebounding, Robert Morris dominated that. They had 11 more than West Virginia. Can't have that at all. Assists were pretty good with 16 at West Virginia, and they really did good jobs with back cuts and everything. The unsung hero of this game, though, is absolutely the defense. This half-court defense, the way that they jump in and out of stuff, they've got elite defenders all over the floor. You got to start with Sincere Harris, who I've been telling you all for since he signed, he's going to possibly be the next Javon Carter for West Virginia. And I don't throw those words out lightly at all. I don't. Keedy is another great comparison. So he's going to be something else. The glue for this team, obviously, Javon Small. I think he does so many important things for this team, and we're going to need him to stay healthy. But we got a dang good backup point guard in KJ Tenner, who I reported to you guys 5-6 months ago, or probably 4 months ago now, that Darian Devries was very comfortable putting him in the game. That was like within a week or two of having him on the roster. Devries said in press conference, yeah, I'm ready to trot KJ Tenner out right now. And I'll be dang if he wasn't right. Well, the thing about that is somebody's talking about depth in the comments. Well, we had one of our highest, as far as last year, one of our 20 points per game scorers didn't even play. So Jaden Stone didn't even play. He'll be in the rotation. So That's another player you're not even really thinking about. But the only place we really have depth issues, in my opinion, are at the big spots. So, and if it ever becomes like a major concern, we can play. We don't want to have to do this, but we could play Hansberry and Underwater Andre at the same time and probably hang with most people. That would help out a lot. And we've got so many. And here's another thing people don't talk about is we have a lot of size on the wings. Toby and Tucker are both 6'7" and 6'8". So, and then you look at Javon Small, you look at a guy like Sincere Harris, who's 6'4", Small 6'3". So we're not small positions 1 through 4. It's only at the 5. Everybody wants to focus on the 5. Yeah, we're small there, and we do have obviously rebounding issues as a result of that. But yeah, so there's no doubt, Powell's going to be a threat for sure. I'm going to get to him. I haven't gotten to the individual stats just yet, but Tucker DeVries, this is going to be something like what his stat line looks like all year, except this is just my opinion. He is for sure not 100% back yet. I'm just going to tell you how he came out in the game. He's usually able to keep that energy throughout a whole game. Usually, he was able to get 18 tonight, 4 rebounds and this 1 assist. But I felt like he had to conserve some energy because he had a shoulder for most of the offseason, guys. He had surgery. It's 2 years in a row on that shoulder. So thankfully his shooting hasn't suffered, it looks like. But it's going to take him a while to build up the stamina because he got tired. You could tell. So I think, a couple more weeks, he'll be fine. Javon Small hits his career average or his season average from last year. He averaged 15 a game last year. He had 15 tonight, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. Monty Hansberry pulled down 12 boards. We'll take that every single time we can get it from him. 1 point shy of a double-double. Sincere Harris, 4 points, 1 assist, 4 rebounds, but he was felt so much more than that. And obviously, as far as offensively, he hasn't really gotten to get to in the flow yet. Toby O'Connie had a quiet 13 points tonight, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, and he had some nice defensive plays. Jonathan Powell with 11 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound, really played well at times today. KJ Tenner, to me, was extremely impressive coming off the bench. I'm just telling you, that was his first start, guys. I mean, he looked so comfortable out there. I love KJ Tenner, man. I love KJ Tenner for sure. Eduardo Andre had some nice plays. I think he's actually going to be a little better than people think. Joseph Yesufu, it was nice to see him back in the game. That he got the minutes that probably Stone was going to get to, so they're probably going to end up splitting some minutes. But I mean, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, close to 10 deep tonight. So I mean, I don't think depth is that big of an issue, really. I think that's just something that we thought was going to. I mean, it's an issue, but only at the 5, really. So we're going to be fine. I think this is a good basketball team. I don't know how far they're going to make it, but I think it's a fair question to ask. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, can we compete in the Big 12? That's going to be the make or break thing to figure out, and we talk about it next. Stick around. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, guys. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an agonizing second overtime, which is why they've created the Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. The energy shot made just for super fans like us, the fans who are first in the parking lot and who are last to leave. We see you. You know what else gives me a bit of West Virginia fan fuel this week? That moment when Sincere Harris should have made that dunk down the sideline, man. That was going to be crazy. I wish he'd have made that. Or how about that dunk Tucker DeVries or the one that Javon Small had earlier in the game? Man, those really gave me some fan energy tonight. And 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping your big tailgate, ironing your jersey, Your game day to-do list is always a mile long, so do me a favor. While the limited edition Stand and Fan 5-hour energy shot is here, try to keep yourself updated and fueled throughout the season. Watch your fan fuel this week. Well, whatever it is, do it with a 5-hour energy shot. Available on 5hourenergy.com, and it is shipped nationwide. All right, guys, we are back. So, keep in mind, this is this team's first game together. And so a lot of the strategy for rebounding and stuff, they've got to play other teams to get better at that. They've been playing against each other, and you're not going to get better at rebounding when you have a size deficiency for one side or the. I mean, you're never able to match up because if whatever side Andre is on probably has the rebounding advantage. You get what I'm saying? So you need to be able to go against other big guys, and so they were able to do that tonight. They'll be able to do that in the future a little bit more. But there's also some strategy that they're going to use from a team aspect. Like Mike Gansey was one of the best rebounders I've ever seen at the guard spot for West Virginia. It can be done. It just has to be coached right, and the effort has to be there. And I really do believe that that's going to be cool in the future. We're going to be okay at it. It's not going to be elite anytime, but I think we're going to be okay enough in other areas that will make up for the rebounding deficiency. And so looking at that, West Virginia basketball has a tough schedule this year. I think we all realize that. Right off the bat, Frank Morris, UMass. What did I say Frank Morris for? I think I was going to say Frank Barton, but UMass is coming to town this coming Friday on November 8th. So that's going to be an interesting game, obviously. But you got LA Tech. Oh, no, I'm not talking. I clicked off of ours for a second. Okay, so then you got Pitt, obviously, who is supposed to be pretty dang good. That'll be a fun game to watch. Iona, who is always a really good mid-major team, and then Gonzaga. We're gonna find out November 27th just how good this West Virginia team is. Georgetown after that, who has always got a tough team. NC Central, BCU, Mercyhurst is a really nice 3-game stretch where we can put together some wins. Then it's Kansas. That's when Big 12 play starts. We're talking about December 31st, just after Christmas. We start Big 12 play, guys, and it can't get any harder. It's against Kansas. Then you've got Javon Small playing against his old team in Oklahoma State. Then you've got Arizona. What a 3-game stretch that is. Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Arizona. You've got to think you pray you can come out of that 2-1, but likely you're 1-2 coming out of that. Now, I don't know. I mean, by then maybe we're a lot better than we think. But unfortunately, then you've got Colorado, then you've got Houston again. So in 5 games, you've got Kansas, Arizona, and Houston, and Iowa State in 6 games. So might as well make it 6. What a stretch. This is going to be the roughest stretch of the season. I hadn't looked at it since it came out, obviously, so it's just now hit me again. But after West Virginia has a really easy stretch, NC Central, BCU, Mercyhurst, you've got Kansas, Oklahoma State, Arizona, Colorado, which is, probably not going to be easy, but Houston, Iowa State, Arizona State, Kansas State, then Houston again, Cincinnati, who's ranked 20th in the country right now, TCU is Jamie Dixon's teams are always tough. Utah, which should be a win. BYU should be, who knows, because last year they were really good. Then you got Baylor, who's ranked top 10 in the country. You got Cincinnati again. But you do get out of the season without having to face Arizona twice, so that's nice. And you end the season with some really manageable games, BYU, Utah, and UCF. So I think, obviously that middle stretch, how do you manage it? It's going to be brutal. I think if you can get out of there, man, it's going to be tough to, if this team's in the Big 12 race at all, they've gone through a gauntlet. Gosh. But I think, looking at this, just in conference only, let's say 0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, 3-4. let's say they get that and go 4-4 just for argument's sake. So then you got 4-5, 4-6, 5 and it's tough. It's tough to do these right off the top without seeing everybody yet. But 5, 6, 6, 6. I mean, in February, I've got us at 7-7 in the league, and then we've got Cincinnati, Texas Tech, TCU, BYU, Utah, and UCF to go. So if you can make it to 7-7, finish strong, and go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's say you can get 11 to 12 wins in a league. You'll have a shot. You'll have a shot to be a top 3 seed in the league. So UCF is just beat Texas A&M. Yeah, it's game 1 though. So all this preseason stuff, you really don't know who everybody is. But you're right. That's interesting that they beat them. Would not expect that. Listen, UCF's been able to recruit to the Big 12 logo for a couple years now. So, I mean, they could end up being one of the better teams in the league. You're recruiting Florida. You're recruiting down that way. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to eventually start to hang, right? So, yeah, it says they beat them 64-61. Let's look at those stats really quick. So they were 17 for 50. Holy cow, that's was an ugly game. They were 8 for 26 from 3. Texas A&M was 7 for 23. Both shot 30% from 3. UCF had they shot 71% from the line. Texas A&M lost this game at the line. They were 8 of 14 at the line, 57%. If they just make 4 more free throws, let's say they go 12 of 14 from the line, they win the game. Texas A&M won the rebounding, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding. They tied in assists. UCF had 10 blocks in this game. Holy crap. 9 steals, 10 turnovers, 17 fouls. Texas A&M had 24. This is a classic ugly game. Obviously, it's 64-61. I'll tell you this, they better not play like that against us. I mean, offensively, we are smooth, guys. We're gonna be really good on offense at times this year. You look at a guy like Small, he can get his own shot. Toby O'Connie can get his own shot off at a lot of different times. Obviously, Tucker can get his shot off a lot, especially whenever he's not tired like he was at points tonight. And then KJ Tenner. And then you've got obviously Powell, who can just step into so many great looking shots, and he's just now scratching the surface. By the end of the year, this team could be so good offensively, guys. I have a lot of faith in Devries to get this. Look how well they played in game 1 tonight. Obviously, don't want to overact too much, but I think this team has got a shot to be pretty dang good. So, and by pretty dang good, I mean a tournament team. 19, 20 wins, getting in there on like an 8 or a 9 seed, maybe 10, and see where it goes from there. And hopefully Tucker gets to do that for his last year. He definitely deserves it. So, yes, that's I got us 500 or so too. Somebody in the comments has us 9-9 at the end of February. I think if we can get there around 500 around Cincinnati there at the end of the year, Daniel. I think we got a shot to finish above 500 in the league. Which, if you can finish in the Big 12, if you can finish above 500. You're most likely a tournament team. So we've seen several teams get there right around 500. But I think after Baylor, if you can finish strong, let's say you can pull off. I mean, you're going to pull off a couple wins against ranked teams this year. So hopefully you think you maybe can beat Cincinnati one of these 2 times. But then you got Texas Tech, TCU, BYU, Utah, and UCF, which to me are all pretty winnable, even though UCF won that game today. Which congratulations to them. It's the Big 12. But that's going to be the most important stretch of the year from February 19th to March 8th. So I think that's where you've got to look for West Virginia to make some bacon. All right, guys. On the other end of the break, we'll tie and put a bow on this, and I'll tell you guys some football stuff really quick. This is Locked On West Virginia. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you in part by FanDuel, guys. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page you place your bets. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com to join today. Get started with the $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bets at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, guys, it is time for final thoughts. And my final thoughts are it's Cincinnati week. And obviously, Coons was pretty impressive in his press conference today. Ironically, he calls defensive coordinator against the last team. The only time in his life for a year he called defense was at Cincinnati, and now he gets to face those. So it's almost like sometimes things are circular, cyclical like that. So I think that's kind of cool. It's going to be fun. We'll find out a lot about this West Virginia team. I think Cincinnati is not like an upper echelon team, but they're not crap either. And it's a pretty evenly matched game. Well, Cincinnati, man, their quarterback has been played so good this year. Dynamite. Connor is obviously a good running back. They run a zone running scheme. They run it pretty well. And they run the Iowa State defense. Like we heard today, they run that 3-3-5 stack defense. That's really tough to score against. And then as far as scoring per game, they're one of the top in the league. So what can Nico Marchiol bring to the table? Because I think that's what we found out today was, of course, he said that Garrett was doubtful, but we've known he's going to be out of the game since 2 weeks now. Not a surprise. But it feels like this is the most important game in Neil Brown's history, in the era of a Neil Brown era at this point. I mean, things can go south really quick if they don't pull this one off at Nippert, and that's putting it mildly, because you got a Baylor team coming to town right after that just put up 60 on Texas Tech. That same Texas Tech team that Iowa State struggled against. So we'll see. I'm excited. I hope we win the game. I hope we play well. I would love to see Nico catch fire going into those last few games. Listen, I've said it for 2 weeks now. If you want me to be excited about another year, Neil Brown, here's the way you can do it. Give me Nico Marchiol, lighten it up the last 4 games of the year. Give me West Virginia to go 3-1 down the stretch and win a bowl game possibly, or somewhere in that vicinity, something like that, and I'll be okay. I mean, I won't love it, but I could be excited about that and stop bashing Neil so hard, because I've been on him here in the last couple weeks, and I realize that. But it's deserved. You know, I held it in for almost 6 years, so it's really hard to find something to defend him on anymore. You know, there's just nothing to go to. There's nothing to say except for he's a good guy. There's a great chemistry, amongst the players. They love each other. He treats families well. None of it has to do with football, really. So thank you for sticking around, guys. And look, it's going to be an interesting week. Congratulations to the West Virginia Mountaineers and Darian Devries era for getting off to a strong start with the basically 30-point victory tonight. And, man, what a start. What a start. Thank you, David. I appreciate that very much, sir. Somebody in the comments said thank you. Love the content. For those who listen on podcast, don't forget to keep coming back. If you guys watch on YouTube, make sure you hit me up on podcasting as well from here on. And I will be back tomorrow, hopefully. There is a small chance that I may not be back after tomorrow. I've got a child support hearing tomorrow, and hopefully all goes well. I never go into any situation like that with the highest of expectations. So just based off the old history. So obviously the payments are made and all that, but it's one of those things, man. I don't like going to court, So should be all good though. I'm just obviously joking there. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining in, and congratulations, like I said, to Darian Devries. Love to see Tucker get off to that great start. Loved how they played in the first, what was that, 5 minutes of the game. They held them scoreless. I think it was 24-0 before they scored anything. So I mean, it was truly an offensive masterpiece in the beginning. So, all right, guys, that's all I got for tonight. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll start. I got a guy, Cincinnati podcaster, coming on to talk Cincinnati. So we'll be dropping that tomorrow afternoon, and all should be well. Until then, guys, I'm out.